Hello, and welcome back to Collabs Without Permission. I'm Vi, or Violet, she, they.
Aw, dang it.
And today we're going to look at something that's really unusual for this channel. We're going to look at a 5e book, a third-party, 5th edition, what the fantasy role-playing setting, they call it. I haven't read very much of this book. We're going to look at basically everything I've read in this book so far. I don't know how long this video is. Which is why this is not a review. It's a condemnation. Anyways, let's break this thing open. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love this cover. I also want a green 1911 first edition printing of Peter and Wendy. I have a 1912 copy, but it's not green. It's got water damage. It's not in great condition. But yeah, I love Peter and Wendy. I love this book. It's very fun. So we're going to take a look at the bits of this book that I've read so far in roughly the order that I read them so that I can kind of illustrate what's going on. First things first, this is published by Andrews McMeel Publishing. They shut down their RPG division last year sometime, I think, which is very good. Good job, you. Thank you, Dan Fox. And thank you, streamers, for being so messy to work with. They publish Barnes & Noble level books. Andrews McMeel Publishing publishes The Far Side. They publish Calvin and Hobbes. They published Rupi Kaur's poetry book. I looked it up on their website, and their website contradicted itself. I don't know whether the first printing was 100,000 copies or 1 million copies. But that's the scale we're talking about here, right? This book costs $28. I think I paid even less for it. I think I paid like $25, which to echo Questing Beast is absurd for this level of quality of book. But the reason is because they're on a totally different level, right? This is kind of like a Quest phenomenon. You know Quest? No? You forget about Quest? Okay. For now, credits: the characters, world, and situations in Neverland fantasy role-playing setting are a work of fiction. This game was designed, developed, and produced by a multicultural team of diverse identities, beliefs, and orientations. Hello, Assassin's Creed. That just rings so hollow. Especially when this whole book really is the effort of Andrew Kolb. One guy, Andrew Kolb. He published an officially licensed Mickey Mouse, Sesame Street, Batman, Spider-Man, children's books. He illustrates children's books. I love his style. We'll see a lot of it throughout this book. But that's who we're talking about. This is a children's book illustrator who works with Disney repeatedly. And he's coming to TTRPGs. Welcome, Andrew. First up, the world. We're not going to read this whole thing. It is just interesting, though. Many have heard of the island. Stories of pirates and mermaids and children who fly tend to spread with relative ease. But to most, that's all they are. Stories to tell children at night. Tales to send them off to a happy dreaming sleep. Nothing to dwell on beyond that. A little repetitive, but it's all true. It says, oh, it's really dangerous, though. Speaking of which, it's more dangerous and wild than was written in the books. So now it's speaking of the book. It's telling you, the reader, what the book is, and it's saying, you're the GM. It's your Neverland, and you shape it, and you'll make it unique. It's time to tell your own tales. And when I talked about Bottled Sea, I was extremely picky about individual words in Bottled Sea. And that's kind of the attitude that I bring to everything I read, because it doesn't know what it's doing. It doesn't know whether it's speaking in universe or speaking to the reader as a player or speaking to the reader as an individual in the fiction. And this is honestly my first red flag. First page of the book. I love this spread. We're just going to ignore that. I love this spread. This spread is so good. It gives the impression that there's a lot going on and that it's all interconnected. So we have a little brief thing. I'd love page references. Everyone would like page references. But I'm going to make an argument here, which is that page references would not save this book. Okay? Page references are not actually the issue here. I had to write down my own page references so I could get through what we're going to talk about, which is the Great White Bird. So there are two words that are bolded on this whole spread. Themes and hexcrawl. That's it. There's a lot of unnecessary capitalization too. Andrew has clearly read role-playing game books before, specifically OSR books. It's easy to get that impression because it's true. This setting has been designed with a few key themes in mind. Themes. Like the books by J.M. Barrie, much of what's been added explores the themes of time, growing up, what makes a home, and parenthood, right? So, I think of the Great White Bird, obviously. So when I read the Great White Bird here, I got excited because it's kind of a microcosm of tabletop roleplay materials. There is very little information about the Great White Bird in Peter and Wendy. It says her nest fell into the lagoon once, and then Peter said that they're not allowed to bother it and let her float. The pirates are like, what's a mother? We need a mother, but what is a mother? And then the Neverbird on its nest is like floating in the water, and they point to it and they say, that is a mother. And then she saves Peter, and then all of their nests are shaped like hats. That's basically every single word we get about the Great White Bird. And so to take those ideas and put them in this book, you have to extrapolate a lot. And that's what you do when you take stuff that's in the book and you bring it to your table. You have to take the details that are there and extrapolate a lot. And so I just thought that was really cool, and I was really curious what details were expanded upon with the Great White Bird. So we're going to talk about the Great White Bird. The Great White Bird. The Great White Bird. So already, wait. Don't repeat a heading right after the heading with the same words. That is fundamental. Please don't do that. Anyone ever again, okay? The Great White Bird. The Great White Bird is the oldest inhabitant of the island and the one that taught Peter how to fly without wings. It protects the island from above and lives in the clouds. Ooh, so this isn't a whole lot, but it is the teeny preview. So elsewhere in the book, I expect all these ideas to be built upon. So, no page reference though, which is fine because actually, Great White Bird, page 26. So we're going to go there. The Great White Bird, also known as the Neverbird or the Guardian. As old as the island, so they're kind of just starting to repeat themselves already. So this is where we find the localized information though. So that's not bad necessarily. As old as the island, it said Neverland began as a nest and grew as the Great White Bird aged. It lords over the island and protects as much as it consumes. Some flock to its form as it blots out the sun, and others fear even the distant flapping of wings. So I don't love the use of some and others there. This is a time to be specific, because this is where we're going to come when we're wondering about information specifically about the Great White Bird. But let's keep reading, see what else they have to give us. Personality traits. So already, stopping again, a lot of stop and go here. Thank you for sticking through. There's no fun music to keep you entertained. You just have to listen to me talk. This is the 5e format. Obviously, it's 5e compatible. But also, we're seeing already how taking specific kinds of cues from 5e lead to specific kinds of content in adventures. Or it can if you choose to take those cues from 5e. You don't have to, but if you do, some things happen. And this is one of those things. Personality traits. Nearly 40 feet tall with a wingspan of 70 feet. That is not a fucking personality trait. I am baffled a little bit why it's under personality traits. But let's keep going. Thinks those who can't fly are literally and figuratively beneath it. Cute-ish, anyway. Ideals. Home. Believes all the inhabitants of its island are either its clutch or food for its clutch. So we're getting a hint of that parenthood theme. Bonds. Protects the birds of the island. Flaws. Primitive in its thinking. Arrogant and attacks any who try to fly higher than it. And other proficiencies. Able to teach permanent flight to those who can't fly if deemed worthy. So already we're missing a whole lot. First of all, did you notice now the Neverbird has its pronouns? In Peter and Wendy, they were she, her pronouns because the pirates pointed at her and said, that is a mother. For some reason, we seem to have just not put that in. Also, what would make it think something's worthy if it's primitive in its thinking? I don't know who it defines as its clutch or who it defines as its food. This is a beautiful illustration. Once again, this is a big pterodactyl looking thing. It does look like it has I don't know what the technical word is. It has like a pelican beak, but it lives in the clouds. You'd think it like eats fish, maybe? We'll find out. And we will find out. Next up, the stat block. We're not going to bother because it is just all of the most 5e stuff you can imagine. HP, HD, armor, speed, saves. This is unusual, but you can just figure it out, which is nice. And it would be nice if that attitude were brought to everything else in the stat block and the stats elsewhere in the book, but it's not. That's just a 5e stat block, and it's most of the words about it. This is very nothing. That's very nothing. This is cute, but we need more than illustrations. So this is Peter and Wendy's a beautiful book. It's an old book. The green book is very nice. The one that it's evoking is very beautiful. The 1911 Peter and Wendy. But that's not what this is. This is a Barnes & Noble book. There are probably 1 million copies of this. They're $28 each. And so I'm going to treat this with a healthy amount of disrespect. Okay? So we're going to just...
And look, they are even designed to be ripped out. Although this book's so nice, I would really feel terrible about doing that.
I trust you to be normal about me cutting up this beautiful book. So I kept looking for information about the great white bird, because I figured that could not be it. And I was right, obviously, thank goodness. The great white bird and all the creatures in this book are situated in the setting. We gotta like a beautiful bestiary, love the pictures, etc., etc. But this is probably the bit that's most geared toward me. The clouds are always hanging over the island, which is not a bad touch. I'm glad it doesn't start with the words "the clouds." Nest of the great white bird hidden amongst clouds. Please don't be scared of writing full sentences. These are not sentences. These are bullet points disguised as a paragraph. Very protective of its home. So now we're talking about the great white bird instead of the clouds. I'll go kind of. Secret part of the island. Things that disappear tend to end up here. That's not giving me a whole lot to go on, but it is giving me something to go on. So I'm going to take it out. It's just one of those things where I'm like, are you talking about the great white bird? Are you talking about the clouds? Are you giving us a taste of what's to come? Like, you need to know why you're writing and write with intention, because each piece of information has a correct place to be because of how people expect books to work, right? As we see here, it says secret part of the island because what it means is it's not marked on most maps. So here we have 21, 22, 23, and there's not a 24 icon here because it's secret. Although it is here on the big map that players are probably going to be using. But once again, it's not here, but I think it should not be here either. Picky, picky, picky vi. But this one does have a page reference. Page 79, it says. So that's where we're going to go next. Ta-da! The clouds. What is first an obscuring fog quickly clears into clusters of clouds. I love some alliteration. That's kind of cute. Supporting the weight of countless birds and other flying creatures. This is a like what you see as you arrive in the clouds, and that is the right place to put that information. I kind of like that. So chime hours. This is something every hex has a different like effect that happens at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So this one's is the mist parts, and the entire island is visible with a pin of light showing the location of what an intelligent creature desires. This is very extraneous. I'll say this is basically useless, because it's compatible with 5e, and people are going to have 5e spells for locating things. And you might think, no, not necessarily, and you'd be right. But guess what? Page 7. Locating property and missing persons. There are a number of ways to discover secrets in Neverland. These are 3 traditional methods. Burning names. The relevant information on the list will either burn brightest or not at all. Scrying, you can look into a pool while someone makes ripples and you can see the guilty party in the reflection. Or toad bones. The bones will then grant the practitioner the ability to see the unseen. So guess what's not here? First of all, the chime for being up in the clouds. Second of all, if we have these 3 things and we have all of the tools available to us in 5e, is there really any point in this being here? Or is it just something cute that you think would be useful because it's evocative of being in the clouds and having a view of the whole island? Next, we're going to look at the D6 exploration table here. 1 is a nest or habitat. Roll 1d6 on the creature table here. Which brings me to, what the fuck are these things? All of these things are in this book. They're not monster manual creatures. They're all in this book. But it's really interesting because I looked each of them up and none of them fit here. So turnstones are these little birds that specifically have advantage on camouflaging on beaches or amongst rocks. Beach, it just says beach, on beach. I can't tell if this is an error or if they don't want to write full sentences. But either way, it should be beaches. Duck regents specifically make their nests underwater. So those really don't belong in the clouds either. Pelicans are obviously aquatic, and the drawing of it is on a rock amid some water. What's next? Oh, so the first time I read this, my eyes nearly popped out of my head. Red Devils. That is quite the name for something. If you're making a Neverland adaptation, I would say probably the number one thing, as a white American, right? The number one thing you should be looking out for is indigenous representation because of the original source material and the Disney movie and some other stuff. So when I saw this specific wording, I was like, uh-oh, what is that? Because if there's a devil thing, like in 5e, and it is red, we're going to have some huge problems. I'll tell you now, it's a vulture that lives on mountains and cliffs. So I don't know, it's the closest to what belongs in the clouds, but we have other problems with it, including the name. There's a high school local to me in Utah here whose mascot is the Red Devils. The Navajo Nation has written them and is like, can you please change your mascot? And they're like, oh, no, it has to do with like the cement company that laid the foundation for the high school. It has nothing to do with race. Like, we know the score. It's America. And like this is the kind of thing that they're like, oh no, we have a multicultural team. No, it's not. It's Andrew Kolb. Andrew Kolb wrote this. Andrew Kolb illustrated this. Dan Fox was like, yeah, the whole time. Oh, and also their feathers are often used in divination. More divination. Why? No, they're not. I know 3 of the most common methods of divination, and a 4th, and everything in 5e, and none of them use vulture feathers. We already have enough tools. You have to. It's just playing into the magic schools of 5e. And I know this because I looked at the fairies, or I looked at the mermaids or something. Yeah, here we go. The mermaids are alto, baritone, soprano, and tenor, right? That is cute. And Questing Beast kind of stopped talking about it there. Do you know what the difference is? This is so 5e brained. The difference is the shape of their special, a 30-foot line, or a 10-foot radius, or 3 targets within 40 feet, so a area of effect, or a 15-foot cone. That is the difference. It's the shapes of magical spell effects. What else? Oh, there's no text about them. God, high and mid. Oh God, I can't even look at this. Quickly going through the rest of these, the flying fennec is a flock of bat things that live in caves. So I don't know why they're in the clouds. The stink bugs, we can return to it. And then the giant mantids. Okay, giant mantids, advantage on stealth or hiding in jungle. These don't belong in the fucking clouds. Forgotten treasure. Oh no, I don't even need to turn. God, I love not needing to turn the pages. Things that disappear to end up here, right? This is exactly as evocative as this sentence here. Okay? It's saying, oh, you might find it. What might I find? And the answer is, well, things that disappeared here. Treasure that someone forgot. Cool. Fairy Circle of Shining Lights. I read the fairy entries in this book, and guess what? They don't talk about circles of lights anywhere. So what does it do? What's it for? Who made it? Why? You have no information about that. Store of Cannonballs. This we do have information about. We're going to talk about it in a second. Intelligent faces in the clouds representing the 4 directional winds. Those are not in the bestiary anywhere. I checked. It's just saying, isn't it funny how these are on maps? Maybe they can talk to you. Put that in your game. And that's not enough for me either. Like, what do they know? What are they like? How is the north wind versus the south wind? What can they tell you? I have nothing. Also, the nest of the great white bird. So this is eliding. This is my last problem with this little table. This is eliding finding the bird's nest. Very protective of its home, nest is hidden amongst the clouds. But instead of having to search for it, instead of having to describe how you find it or where it is in relation to anything else, you just happen to get it if you're exploring and roll a 6. And I don't prefer that. I want to be able to find it. I want you to tell me where it is so that we can go there, right? Next, we're going to look at the hex description. This is all of the words that we have about the hex itself. So we're going to be super picky, just like in Bottled Sea. So let's start reading. The domain of the birds. Not great. I already know that there are countless birds here. Or more specifically, the domain of the great white bird. Not great. I already know that the great white bird lives here, and that the great white bird lives here, and that the great white bird lives here. And that you can roll it on the NPC table, 7 through 10. All of them are the great white bird. And its nest is here, and you can roll it on the area effects table. The great white bird is everywhere. I have no idea why you wasted that much space saying something so repetitive when you could have just deleted it and started with flying just a little bit higher than the mist and fog reveals a sort of natural aviary in the clouds. Except that kind of sounds like a way you would describe people arriving at the clouds, which is the job that this sentence is doing. It actually is very identical. Flying just a little bit higher than the mist and the fog. What is first an obscuring fog reveals a sort of natural aviary. Quickly clears into clusters of clouds, supporting the weight of countless birds in the clouds and other flying creatures. Roosts, nests, and many other forms seem to be shaped out of the clouds, and they easily support the weight of their flying guests. Guess what? The clouds support the weight of the countless birds and flying creatures who are native to beaches and the water and build their nests underwater and don't belong here. They even use the word flying. It's literally so repetitive. It's first draft stuff that ended up in this beautiful book, which is why I'm treating it this way. The area is unpredictable at the best of times. New info. Let's go. A bright sunny afternoon can quickly turn to thunderstorms on a whim, and adventurers should be ready for anything. That's actually not true. Let's talk about the area of effect table after we talk about the encounter table. We don't have to talk about this for very long, because basically I just have to tell you that this encounter table is the same on every single page. This is not usability. This is babying. This is templating. This is so redundant that it's taking up so much space. It's taking up like that's like, you might think, oh, that's not that much space. Except guess what? That's not the only thing that's repeated. D12 area effect. I'm going to read both of these at the same time. You'll never guess how. Animals fleeing geography. Tornado, thunderstorm, hail, etc. Shore break, fire, terrain collapse, etc. Roll creature. Fire, lava flow, rockfall, tornado. Fire, lava flow, rockfall, tornado. Fire, lava flow, rockfall, quicksand, flood. So, cool. They're just telling you what kind of weather event it might be in this location. But they have to repeat all of it on every page in order to do that. And guess what? We're going to keep reading. Geography danger. Tornado, thunderstorm, hail, etc. Geography danger, geography danger, geography danger, geography danger. Instead of having a table of different geography dangers and like more information about them, they just repeated this. Now, this is where it gets different, okay? Mermaid game, mermaid game, mermaid game. Oh, that's different, right? No. Nest made of scavenged supplies. It's just saying it's a nest instead of abandoned supplies. Guess what? The abandoned supplies are on every single table. An empty animal nest or habitat is on every single table. Baby inhabited animal nest or habitat is on every single table. Parent and baby inhabited nest and habitat is on every single table 24 times. This is new. Great white bird nursing an injured animal. Is this what we get? Is this the parenthood theme? Is that so different than an animal or a dead animal or an animal and an animal or a baby animal or no animal? It's not. It is not different enough for me. So wind picks up and flying stability becomes difficult for 10 minutes, roll creature or NPC. And guess what? This lines up with encounter number 11. Sorry for the shaking camera. Which is obscuring and unnatural fogs that drops in temperature, roll creature or NPC. Which is on every single page 24 times. Over and 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 over. And 10 more times. I could just keep flipping. It's ridiculous. It is wasting so much space. And then here we go. I'm going to cover it up so you can't read it. 11 is dense thunderstorm builds in the area. Roll d6. Only thing in rain and thunder. Rain, thunder, sheet lightning. Lightning strikes in the area and starts a fire. Or 6. Target with the most metal saves or takes 3d10 lightning damage. Guess what? That is the exact same result here for 12. And guess what? It is word for word encounter 12 on this page as well. They're just the same. It's the exact same words. You can look at the shape of it. Area sheet with damage. Area sheet with damage. It's the same exact words. I don't know how they missed this, because this is technically the most different table from every single other table in the hex crawl. Everything else, because here it says mermaid game, mermaid game, mermaid game, mountain trap, mountain trap, mountain trap, lost boy trap, mermaid game, pirate spider trap, lost boy trap, mermaid game, pirate spider, mermaid game, pirate spider, Lich ward. We're going to talk about liches in a second. Lich ward, mermaid game. Actually, we're going to talk about it right now. Let's do multiplication for a second, okay? So 23 times 3. 69 results that all basically boil down to trap. A trap that fits the area. I had no idea. I looked up our lich here, which we're going to talk about in a second. I looked up mermaids. I looked up the Lost Boys. I looked up the Twil's Teg. I looked at the mountain pages. Like, that would be a good place for a page reference, but page references would not save this book. I don't even remember where they are. I know now that they're in the book. Yeah, here they are. So, guess what? They're just, like, spread throughout here. Oh, look, mermaid games, mountain traps, pirate spider traps. All of these tables are doing the same job. You're going to have to turn to the same place when you're using these results every single time, okay? So, guess what? They should all be next to each other so that you can have a spread that you go to every time you need a trap, because you're going to be rolling it constantly, because it's 3 out of every single table except the clouds on every single encounter table. So you're going to be rolling it a lot. So you should be able to, 1, know where they are. Because once again, you go to the mermaid section, you go to the 12 tag section, none of them talk about it. Let me go to the mermaid. Let's go to the lich section. We're going to talk about liches for a second. Why? I want to talk about something else for just a second, because I'm not Jewish either. But, I need the 5e rulebook. One sec. I found this really nice thread online. Someone was like, hey, let's actually talk about whether or not this is anti-Semitic, the Lich thing. And they had screen caps from every monster manual since first edition. And it was like, they use the word phylactery, but that's like a Greek word. So like, it's not necessarily anti-Semitic just because the most evil thing in the world uses a Greek word that Jewish people don't even use anymore for this religious box that they use that has scriptures on the inside. It's like a religious thing. They put it on their heads. But it was interesting because actually 5e was the most anti-Semitic of them all. Here we go. Here's 5e on a lich. No wizard takes up the path of lichdom on a whim. It's a well-guarded secret. You take up bargains with fiends, evil gods, and other foul entities. Many turn to Orcus, demon prince of undeath. Blah, blah, blah. With its phylactery prepared, the lich the future Lich drinks a potion of transformation, a vile concoction of poison mixed with the blood of a sentient creature, whose soul is sacrificed to the phylactery. Which sounds a whole lot like blood libel to me, which is just like weird stuff that's tied up in the play culture of Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, and also, if slain and his phylactery, top hat, with magic and scrolls sewn into the inside, is intact, his body will return to sand and return in 26 days. So he literally has something that he wears on his head with scriptures inside that, according to the lore of 5e, he made by drinking blood to do dark magic to evil gods. So when you pull on these things from 5e, you're gonna bring all that baggage with it to here. Oh my god. Anyway, the traps being so bad, and that one being repeated, and this one bad. Well, that's not so bad, but it's repeated here, which makes that bad. By comparison, D12 NPCs. I don't know. I don't have many notes on this, I don't think. So, the only weird thing here is that 1d4 Lost Boys plus Pixie is functionally the same as 2 Lost Boys plus Pixie. You can roll 2 Lost Boys plus Pixie on the result you already have, so, I don't know. I really, didn't read a lot about the Great White Bird, especially when it's like, oh, you might find the nest of the Great White Bird here. I was like, cool, is that in this book? And I'll tell you right now, actually, it is. Is there a page reference? No, but it does actually detail the Great White Bird's nest here. So we're going to flip to that now. Great White Bird Nest, Hex 24. High in the sky and protected by clouds. Already, we are repeating the same stuff again. Floats the nest of the Great White Bird. How it stays aloft is unknown, and some say it will crash down toward the island if the bird were to perish. I don't know why that's not in the bird description, because guess what? When you are fighting the Great White Bird, you will be using its stat block. And when the Great White Bird dies, you might want to have information about what happens or what might happen, what's rumored to happen when the Great White Bird dies, but it's not there. It's here for some reason. I hate this whole thing. It's all bullet points, by the way. We're going to look at it, but it's all bullet points. So I already don't like it. General, nest is made of entire trees and parts of ships. That's cute. Surrounded by dense clouds that can support thousands of pounds. We already knew that. Clouds obscure the nest from below. Wow, did we already know that? We did. Smaller nests. Natural nests made by other birds, some at the ends of broken masts. That's one sentence. I don't know why it's 2 bullet points all of a sudden. The Great White Bird protects these like they're its own. Once again, this is as far as we get in the parenthood protection thing, which also believes inhabitants of the islands are either its clutch or food for its clutch. So it's saying it's protects. That is not a compelling piece of information to repeat so many times. B, food stores. This is interesting. It's like A, and there's multiple B's because there's multiple food stores here. Sacks of grain and branches full of fruit kept in natural pockets. Shared amongst all birds. That's not a sentence, which is fine because it's a bullet point, but it's not fine because bullet points are bad. This is a bad bullet point. Birdhouses. C, so these birdhouses here. Who made these? This made me want to throw the book out the door. Maybe, I think who made these is actually why I'm cutting up this goddamn book. Who made these? You tell me. I bought your fucking book. Fuck. Oh no, I tore it. Well crafted from bits of ships and home to the smaller birds. Some serve as hidey holes for precious gems and shiny stuff. Cannonballs. Neat piles. Various sizes and materials. The Great White Bird finds it amusing to steal them from ships or catch them in midair. Why is this not in personality traits? It's a cute personality trait. It's a playful bird. Why is it talking about the cannonballs in the nest? There's also cannonballs here. Why didn't you talk about them here? The only thing I like about this is that it's not playing the game for you. You could drop them off the nest and have them land places in Neverland and maybe like destroy buildings and stuff. That's cool. I don't know. It doesn't tell you to do that or you can't do that or anything like that. It just says there are cannonballs here. And that's nice, but that's it. E, deep hole, 100-foot drop, but easy to climb out. The Great White Bird sits atop it and protects what's underneath. The bottom houses the biggest and brightest valuables of the Great White Bird. What the fuck are they? I have no idea. I have no idea what it likes. I have no idea what it steals. It steals... would there be special cannonballs there, maybe? That's kind of cute. I don't know. And parts from other sections of the nest can be laid across the top to make a makeshift prison. So, God, anyway. So I was curious about why this was written this way, and so what I did is I looked up the beginning of the chapter 5 resources. The following pages include maps and tables to further flesh out Neverland and Elfame that can be used to plan adventures ahead of time or quickly answer a question on the fly. Maps have been presented in their default state. I don't know what that means, but apparently it means they've not been populated with characters or creatures. So it's telling you to make encounter tables for the areas that it gave you. Instead of, look at all these words. Do you think there could be an encounter table there? Do you think there could be a treasure table there? Because when you come upon it the first time, you're supposed to describe you, the author, Andrew, you're supposed to describe the area in its default state, which is a default state where there are characters and creatures and things going on. Oh, well, it's just a default state. It's not set in stone. It's not permanent. I'm not making any guarantees. I'm not saying anything definite about the setting, except guess what? This is a setting. This is a fantasy role-playing setting, and you got to be saying something definite about it. But no, like this whole section is just bullet points. They're all bullet points. OSE can go to hell. Okay, what's last? What's next? Page 168. So the thing that really opened my eyes on this was what I was showing you earlier. It's kind of self-congratulatory to put a making of in your first book that you make. Oh, also the fiction is just bad. I'm not going to read it. I'm sorry, it's really bad. But also, I found this. I was like, bird. Oh, I'm trying to find everything about the bird. So here's something about the bird and bird, the two bird things. Locals worship bird. I don't know who the locals are. Did you know that people worship the bird? The closest we got to that was some flock to its form as it blots out the sun. That's it. We read this whole thing. Bird eats ants. Did you know the bird eats ants? I've literally cut out everything I could find about the bird. I didn't know it ate ants. I knew apparently there are ants that you can find there. That's the closest we get. Pan and the bird help each other. They do? According to who? According to where? This has nothing about Pan. Bird/dragon. Oh, okay. So it's supposed to be a little dragon thing. Attacks flyers. Attacks boats. Apparently, it attacks boats. I had no idea it attacks boats. It talks about how the bird eats the ants in the ants section. It's really funny how it says it, though. Horse-sized insects. It's rumored the giant ants appeared on the island shortly after the great white bird, only to serve as constant food source. They want the great white bird and all birds gone from the island. They also provide the great white bird with ample food supply, but would prefer this wasn't the case. That's maybe a kind of funny politeness, like British politeness. I don't know. And that's basically it. That is it. So what can we get from everything that we have here? I already think I made my case on why the entire hex for the clouds is vapid, and therefore why all of the hexes are pretty vapid and terrible, because they all are essentially exactly the same, except for a tiny bit of text, which is, as I showed, not very adequately written. So, what information can we glean specifically about the great white bird? Because it seems a little bit important. It had its own section in the intro. Everyone, I present to you the great white bird. This is all the information we have about it. It's really old, it's arrogant, lives in the clouds, it protects the birds on the island, it eats ants, it can teach flight to some people, it catches cannonballs sometimes, and its nest will fall, maybe, if it dies. So here's the thing. Originally, on the first bit of detail, it looked like the problem was that there was no page reference to the great white bird to find more information about it. But in reality, the real problem is that there are about 8 ideas about the great white bird that are in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 places. And most of them are not even interesting. How can you read that much and then think the problem is that it just needs more page references? The tabletop role-playing audience had a literal children's book illustrator put pretty pictures in front of them, and as far as I can tell, they all forgot how to read. And I mean it. That's rude, but I mean it. I have some notes as we wrap up. This is a book that is meant to be looked at for 2 seconds. It's a book that's meant to be flipped through. Once you start looking a little too close, it completely breaks down. My only takeaway that I can do is Andrews McMeel is nepotistic, Dan Fox is incompetent, and Andrew Kolb is doing a passion project. He's a newcomer, replicating all the mistakes of mainstream RPGs, or at least Questing Beast style ones, if I may. It distracts you from those things with its beautiful illustrations and hoists the creative work onto the GM constantly. It's thoughtlessly copying 5e, it's combat default, it's boring monster descriptions. There's so much space wasted on stats. That's that, basically. I have so many strong opinions about this sort of thing. But I'm here to share them. I couldn't stop myself this time. And I hope you keep watching. Thank you for watching this video. There'll be better stuff coming soon. So, thank you.